Hi everyone, and welcome back to Farrand Film. And let's just do this now, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, things have changed. Right? I can't use my phone because it's dying, and the thing that I put my phone on won't fit behind where I currently am. I'm in the cupboard, people. I'm in the cupboard.
He's in a cupboard because he's
I'm in a
having a
cupboard.
baby.
I'm having a baby. Baby's kicked me out, so I'm now in the cupboard. This is the first one in the cupboard. I'm having to hold my microphone,
Like a
so
peasant.
like a peasant. So hopefully next week I will have a nice boom arm here, so then it sounds a little bit better.
I'm
But
just wondering where the room is for it as well. Like this
it's
giant room
literally
or
like I've got about that much space. That's where my boom arm can go.
that much space. For the people in podcast land, that was about a half a hand span
Yeah,
of Adam
yeah,
Farrand. And he has probably slightly larger than average hands.
definitely
So,
chunkier.
let's charitably call it 8 inches, shall we? Even though I don't measure anything else in my life in inches. Like the you. I'm a science teacher. The SI of distance is centimeters.
All right, okay. So we're back on Last of Us. We've got three. Well, I say we've got three more to go. We've got two more after this one.
Yeah.
So this is episode 7. This is Left Behind.
This was
So
the DLC
This is
episode.
the DLC episode. Now, I am going to say this to you. So I've seen it twice. I'm going to go and watch it again tonight with Amy.
Mm.
Did it feel like a DLC episode? Did it feel like a tag, like a tag on?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
again, so did Bill and Frank. And
Yeah.
I've already said that's my favorite episode of TV ever, possibly. So I don't think it being a tag on is necessarily a bad thing. I think it is an important part of the story enough.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine a lot of modern release, if the 50,000 times that they keep re-releasing The Last of Us, it'll get to the point where Left Behind is like bundled in with it. And I do imagine there would be a point where Neil wants the story to be told that way. Of like, this is where we have the flashback. So maybe this is where he'd have it, is while, Joel is lying there, not saying a single word. Pedro's really having to earn his money in this episode, isn't he?
Oh, he is. This is the point where, he's.
Imagine the rumors as well, like, because he's probably on average, but imagine if he earned like $600,000 for this.
Well, it says per episode, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, it's probably like averaged out per episode for the amount of work he actually did or whatever. But imagine if it was like, no, regardless of how much I'm in an episode, because he's barely going to be in the next one, surely.
Yeah.
He'll be in it. He'll
right.
be in it more. He'll be in it more because I remember what happens in the game, but he's still barely going to be in it. It's like, that was $600,000 worth.
Oh, I've just gone on Wikipedia because I'll be honest, I didn't make any notes, so I was just going to use that. They've now revealed the season finale title. I wouldn't say it's spoilerish.
Go on.
So, I mean, right, let's see if you can finish it then. The first episode was called When You're Lost in the Darkness. So the finale episode is...
Oh, it's the follow-up, isn't it? I don't know the actual, but it's the end of the Firefly line.
It's Look for the Light.
Look for the Light, yeah.
That's a nice touch.
It's bookends. Nice. Bookends, Adam! Bookends. We've been talking bookends the entire goddamn season.
Bookends!
Oh, the symbolism!
Oh, it's so... Yeah. So...
Let's do this. Subtle has a silent B in it.
Subtle. Right. So we start off with essentially where we were from last week. Ellie's sheltering Joel in a house. And, I mean, at Wikipedia have put, as Joel approaches death, he urges Ellie to leave him. Now, I don't think he's approaching death at this point, but he definitely says to her, just go, just leave me.
Yeah, he definitely says, just go.
Yeah. And then at that point, we kind of kick into Left Behind. We kick into what happened in the DLC. Now, they've added bits in. So they've added a little bit in about Ellie being in Fedra Military School. And I will admit, and I'm wondering if this is a bit of a winky wink to the fans, the girl that she has an argument with, I was like, is that Abby?
Abby?
Have they changed Abby's story? Is Abby here now? And then later they refer to as Bethany. So, no, it's not.
That would have been stupid if they had done that.
I mean,
that would have been fan service for the sake of fan service. There's no reason to give those two a backstory together.
But it was very sort of redhead, plaits. Like, yeah. But again, I'm glad it wasn't. So, we see her, she's in a little bit of trouble. She's in this fetch thing. Now, seeing her bedroom and seeing her with Savage Starlight, reading Savage Starlight.
Savage Starlight again,
the pun book was there. There was a Mortal Kombat 2 poster. Now, in the game, it's not Mortal Kombat, because obviously it would have been, they would have had to sort of pay to use it and all that kind of stuff.
Was it a Naughty Dog game?
No, it was just some sort of... I can't remember the name of it. I think they just made it up.
Why would you not have just had like a reference to like Jak and Daxter or Crash Bandicoot? Well, that would have been awesome.
There's an Uncharted reference in part 2. And I'm sure... Well, like, there's a lot of... Because I've noticed this, because I've just finished playing part 2 again, in that there's a lot of houses that you go into, and coincidentally, everyone's got a PS3. And there's just like,
I swear that was the thing in part 1 as well. To be fair, you could find
it probably is. Yeah, I probably just didn't notice. But there's a lot of like Uncharted, and like very similar to that bit in Hot Fuzz when you see the Shaun of the Dead DVD copy in the bargain bin, and you sort of clock it. It's a bit like that where you see the image and you're like, oh, that's Uncharted too. And then there's like a bit of Jak and Daxter stuff. But yeah, this is the kind of... They've clearly got the right.
The only Crash Bandicoot thing that I can remember is the shall we call it the parody title that they discover in the bunker filled with weapons and weed and less than savory films.
Yes, yes, indeed. And yeah. So Ellie goes to sleep, and then while she's asleep, her friend, Riley, breaks in, as you do, sort of tries to scare her. And basically, Riley says, I've run away, I've joined the Fireflies, but I want you to come with me for the best night of your life. You'll say no, but then you need to say yes. And then essentially, Ellie goes along with it.
Their chemistry from the get-go was unreal.
Oh, yeah, Storm Reed is so good. Like,
I had never even heard of her before. Is it Euphoria that she's in?
Is it Euphoria? Because I know her more from The Hate You Give, which is the it's based on a book. So yes, it is Euphoria. So she's in Euphoria. She had a minor role in Suicide Squad, did she?
Wait, the good one or the terrible one?
The good one, I think. It said 2021.
Yeah, the good
one.
Tyler
Dubois.
I've still not seen it, so...
It is definitely the good one. She's in a film this year that I really want to see called The Missing. So not The Missing, but just Missing. So it's a sort of spiritual sequel to a film called Searching that came out in 2018. That's got is it Cal Penn?
Yes, Cal Penn.
No, sorry, it's not. No, it's not. It's John Cho. I'm thinking the other half of Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, not Harold. No, Harold, not Kumar.
Yeah. So, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, she's been in quite a lot of stuff, and she's clearly making her way up there. But so Riley takes Ellie to an abandoned mall. Before we get to the mall, I quite enjoyed the scene where they stumble across an infected who's just dead, and they're like,
"Was he infected?"
You can see the sort of fungalish.
Oh, I thought he was a bloke who killed, because I swear I picked up that he'd like drank.
I mean, he might have done because he's infected.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly.
He might have got to it before that point, but you can definitely see the sort of cordyceps fungally, thing around his lips and stuff like that.
The tendrils.
And then the bit he just falls to the floor,
Right, because I haven't actually seen, because obviously I keep saying this every episode, but it's for the viewers more than for you. I obviously haven't played the game.
Yes.
I've watched people play through the first one completely, but I have seen nothing of Left Behind. I knew the story of Left Behind.
Yeah.
So I knew pretty much beat for beat. I knew it was Riley taking Ellie to a mall, them just getting to kind of be kids for a bit and enjoying it, and then dun 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 right at the end.
Yeah.
But like that seemed like something that happened in the game, like as a jump scare moment of there's a body and you're looking at it, and then all of a sudden, and then it just falls.
No, it ends up being that like Riley does surprise Ellie. And they sort of say like, oh, I'm gonna go over here, but then nothing happens between. They end up, you go to the mall, and then there's a short version of it where you can sort of go through things really quickly, so you can skip the carousel, you can skip the photo booth, you can skip the arcade. I don't think, oh no, I don't know if you can skip the arcade. You can skip certain stuff in the Halloween shop. So they've got all of those beats in, but then they've added these extra little bits in. But yeah, there's in the mall, there's just the infected at the end. It's in the same way that this episode ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's just go to the mall because realistically, that's where the majority of the stuff takes place.
It was
So
really sad when, like, one thing that really made me sad was like right at the beginning where she was blown away by an elevator. It's like, oh Jesus.
oh, an escalator. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was so sad. She just got
Yeah.
on to these
Is this the
electric
first wonder?
stairs. Like, and she just stands on them and she loses her mind. And there's the bit where she falls over, and I'm wondering now, did Bella Ramsey just actually just fall over?
Probably.
And
Probably.
Storm Reid had to be like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And they just played it off. And it was like, yeah, let's keep that in. That's really sweet.
Yeah, like the chemistry, like you were saying before, it comes across straight away. Straight away.
And the delivery of the lines, like it's just something about it. It's so sincere, you forget you're listening to a script, which I think like, obviously with anything it's written, it's a script, but good writing kind of makes you forget that.
Yeah,
even when they're doing the nice thing of, oh, it's your turn to speak, oh, it's my turn to speak, oh, it's your turn to speak, oh, it's my, like, even with all of that going on,
yeah,
I definitely got the vibe that this was just actual conversations that they were having with each other, which was really good. A testament to the pair of them performing.
And you can sort of see little moments of when they begin to start showing a little bit more than just friendship for each other. There's definitely a lot of parts where you're left lingering and you're left thinking of like,
and it is very one way. Like, it's not just Ellie.
It's not just a bit of an Ellie crush. It's a reciprocal sort of, this clearly we have feelings for each other. We've probably not spoken about it, but
and that be one of the things I knew. I was like, I'll just kiss already, like several times. I was really worried that I really like this. Is there a reference to Victoria's Secret in the game? Because that was a really nice addition if it wasn't.
No, I really liked it. But the closest you get in the game is there is a bit where it's Joel and Ellie. Joel and Ellie are walking through a town, and there is an image of a woman in, I think it is lingerie, in like a shop window.
I think I remember. Yeah, is it the one where he's got to like?
It's one of the prompts. You have to prompt the conversation. Yeah. And
she makes a comment about she looks like she's starving herself.
Yeah. And he says,
we did that.
People just decided to do that kind of stuff,
And Ellie's like horrified because she's never known not being hungry.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
I was
all the food you guys had. Why would you not be eating it?
I know, and like the amount you wasted. Yeah. I was genuinely worried, and I'm like, oh my god, where she just stays staring at Victoria's Secret a bit longer. Like, and it turns out she was just checking a reflection in the mirror to be like, oh, am I pretty for it? Which, fine. I was genuinely worried she was going to like go in and try and grab something.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely would have been And
it's like, no, Ellie, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, I know Bella Ramsey is like 19 going on 20, but Ellie, you're about 14. No. Just, ew. I don't care.
We're not having that. We're not having
that. I'm not even a dad yet, and I'm not having that.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Yeah, so they go in and then they make their way to the carousel. Nice little, oh, this is like a ride. Let's go on this. The photo booth as well. That's something that pops up in the game. Because there's some lines in it as well where very similar to the game, but they've not got all of them. Where in the game, I think it's Ellie says, it comes up on the screen and it says, would you like to share to Facebook? And Ellie goes, what's a Facebook? And then like in the show, they go, oh, you can screenshot, and they go, what's a screenshot?
Honestly, I have no idea. Yeah, the pair of them might not know what a screenshot. Because
Oh,
how does a
what
computer?
a dream
What
if
was
that
the
was the
final?
actual youth of today.
You just reminded me. What was the final joke? Because they never revealed the punchline, and it's killing me. What do you call? Was it like what do you call an alligator in a nest?
Right.
I have
Oh,
no idea because
hang
like
on.
that's the point where. Are you going to give it a Google
I'm
now
going
so
to
you
give
can
it a
find it?
Google.
I'm pretty sure it's what do you
What
call
do
an alligator
you
in a nest?
call an alligator in a vest?
Oh,
Has come up on Google. What do you call an alligator in a vest? An investigator.
well, that was disappointing. That's really disappointing.
You can
Like,
keep that
because
wrong.
all the other, I know they're puns and it's like really low end humor, but they're really like the diarrhea one that makes Joel laugh is
Oh
it's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. It stays in your jeans.
It runs in your
It
genes,
runs in your
yeah.
jeans.
It runs in your genes. Like even the other ones, they tell how does a computer get drunk? It takes a screenshot. That's clever. I
The
like that.
the diarrhea one that should be a science teacher joke for you. That you should keep that.
Yeah, runs in your
You know,
genes.
yeah.
I, I'm still remembering that one where Joel knows it and Ellie's annoyed. It's like,
Yeah, she's like, did you
why
look?
was how was the Scarecrow an expert because he was outstanding in his field?
He was outstanding in his field.
I've heard this joke at least 15 times, Ellie. Don't do this to me. Is that same so I always got the impression as well that I mean, obviously I've not played it, but I thought that Riley was just another kid and they just ran away there rather than this subplot of her being a firefly. Like, is that a thing in the book?
No, they include it. Yeah, yeah, they
So
include it.
that is from the game. It's not
Yeah,
just
it's interesting because obviously I've played the game after the Left Behind DLC, but I wonder if, say, if somebody was playing the game for the first time, uh, did they catch any sort of references to this other person? You know, because I don't think it was as obvious that they were referencing Riley in the first game until you then get the Left Behind DLC.
yeah.
Whereas I think in part two, there are definitely more references to Riley. There are definitely more sort of things because obviously they've known that that's coming. So it is interesting to try and figure out where Riley popped into it along the way. Sort of giving a bit of a personification to Ellie's sexuality, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah,
It's
I
still
love
gonna make
the.
people annoyed in the second game, isn't it?
Oh well, I mean, apparently this one's been review bombed already. Apparently, this episode has been review bombed by people who just think it's woke filler.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
it's literally been as like didn't left like when did The Last of Us actually come out? Like
2013.
2013. So let's charitably say Left Behind came out 2015.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have a
so
look.
8 years or so.
2014.
2000, so 9 years. Beg your
9 years.
pardon.
9 years.
Woke filler. Like,
Woke filler.
because I imagine, like, I will say, like, if you're gonna like label anything as woke filler, you would put that more at my favorite ever episode of television than anything. Because, like,
Yeah, because that's not in the game.
it's not in the game, and it is filler. It's exactly filler. Like,
You know. So, like, as an average approval rating of 9 out of 10. So this is the episode I'm talking about now. They lauded the fight sequence as the best close combat scene in the series to date, and the use of
yeah,
music was well
that
received.
was incredible.
Use of music, I've got to mention "Take on Me." You know,
Yeah,
because
that was great.
that's
What's it as well?
emotional.
I've Got You, Babe. I've never heard that version before, and that made me think: is that something else that white people have taken from black people and appropriated?
It's
Like,
they mentioned it in Etta James, an Etta James version. Yeah,
so
so
is
I
that
would have.
did Etta James do it originally,
Did
or
she
did
do it
she cover
originally?
Sonny
Let's
and
have a
Cher?
look. Let's have a look. Sonny and Cher. Da-da-da-da. It was written by Sonny Bono. Blah blah blah. No, I think it might have been Etta James afterwards.
Okay, well, she did it better.
I
So
think she definitely, yeah, she did do it better.
definitely did it better.
Yeah. Ruby's found that because of a film that she's watched on Netflix, and it's awful, but it's now on the playlist in the car.
Well, this is a very nerdy kind of my musician brain kicking in as well.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's my TV or whether it's my Now TV in particular. I think it might be Now TV, but everything seems like pitch shifted up.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so this might be an impossible question for you, and feel free to tell me, Ollie, I don't care that much about music. When you listen to the main theme tune,
Yes.
does it sound exactly the same as the game to you, or does it sound a little bit higher?
It sounds exactly the same to the game.
Right. And
It
did
sounds
Aha sound exactly the same to you as well as the actual version?
no,
Did that sound
no. That
higher?
yeah, that sounded different because who's it? The Depeche Mode song, "They're Never Gonna Let Me Down Again."
Mm,
Like I, as much as I'm now into that song, I think it sounds different in the episode.
mm.
And I think they definitely tweak stuff. They
Well,
definitely
pitch shifting is a usual. It used to be anyway, quite an effective way to get around copywriting.
right.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what they're trying to do. They will have got the rights to these songs, but it might be. It might be a. God, what's the word I'm looking for? It might be a condition of being allowed the song is you've got
Yeah.
to pitch shift it so that people can't rip it from your show,
Fair enough.
have it there. Like they would have a pitch shifted version. So maybe that it's just I noticed the same with Game of Thrones. Like when we were watching House of the Dragon,
Yeah.
it's the same theme song, but it sounds a semitone higher.
Right. Okay.
And the HBO at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
even that sounds a semitone higher. So I'm wondering if like what part of the system I know it's a tangent that I know you don't care about. I can't.
No, because I think it is interesting because I was thinking about the opening theme song when I watched it again before that Gustavo Santaolalla, like he's done the music for the series, he's done the music for the game as well, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming he's re-recorded that because I
Mm.
can't imagine that they've just ripped it from his original recording.
Yeah, because I
Um,
just remember the original one being a bit slow and meandering,
yeah,
and
I do think there's definitely that to it because I think there are only elements of him scoring in a way that sounds like the game.
yeah.
I think
Whereas
it is
the
more the
theme tune
opening
to this,
theme.
it sounds a lot quicker. It's that pitch shift up. I prefer that because
Mm,
I have like keys that I like and keys
yeah,
that and like this is in a key where I'm like, ooh, yeah, this sounds funky. And
maybe then, maybe I've never really kind of considered it before, but
what I might have to do is listen to the theme on my phone, and I think
yeah,
that'll answer whether it's a conscious choice to slightly change it up or whether it is something on there. Like I said, it's just weird that even like the HBO logo
mm,
at the beginning, because I remember hearing that constantly with Game of Thrones and then going into Game of Thrones, like for all of that to be shifted up the same amount
yeah,
is weird.
because
So,
even like this isn't Last of Us, but when when Casino Royale came out.
mm,
So Chris Cornell, You Know My Name, great song,
mm,
you know.
yeah,
Um, and I remember I've got the CD single of it, and I remember listening to it through that, and it sounded slower,
yeah,
sounded like a slower song than what I was used to hearing it as, because I used to. This was when we didn't have any internet, and I was trying to just get all the songs that I recorded the video on like Kerrang or something like that, and it sounded faster in the video.
yeah.
And then when I listened to the CD, it was slower. Yeah. I'm having a look at the sort of reviews of it. I mean, thankfully, Wikipedia haven't put any of the review bombing stuff in. Like, generally, it's got really good reviews across the board. Um,
It's the same old bit. Like it's almost a redundant podcast when we come on and talk about it because yeah, we talk about the story beats, which are great, but ultimately the takeaway is fantastically acted, beautifully shot, very well composed. The mixing is like it's just a perfectly realized version of what we're
no, it is. It
expecting.
really
So the
is.
only new beats to any, and again, the only new beats would be to the story, which for a lot of people watching this, they're not new beats except for
Yeah.
the stuff that they've added in.
But I do think that like just let's dig a little deeper for a second then. So this episode was directed by I'm assuming it's Liza Johnson, not Lisa Johnson, and she has history in directing episodes of things like Good Girls Revolt, Feud, American Horror Story, a couple of episodes of Series of Unfortunate Events, What We Do in the Shadows, Dead to Me, and then she's just done Physical, which is the series that Rose Byrne was kind of part of and starred in that was on Apple TV, and then a couple of episodes of The Sex Lives of College Girls. So people are saying that picking her to direct this one was again a sort of a masterstroke because of Johnson's previous in directing episodes and similar things, and which I think falls back to I think it was Jim Hoare who did the episode 3, and he had previous in, or Peter Hoare, sorry, who had previous in It's a Sin.
Yeah,
So
you've
again,
got to have people with
yeah,
some
I think
kind of.
you
They've got
they've
to have
done
a
that
finger
right.
in that pie they've got to have a finger on that pulse to really
Yeah.
know how to do it
So
properly.
we may as well do all of them while we're here. So Jazz Miller, I want to say Zanovic, which is Bosnian. So I apologize massively if I've said that wrong, which I probably have done. She directed last week's episode, which was Kin, and she is quite actually significantly a filmmaker. She made Kuvida Cider, which came out last year, which was quite a renowned international film. And then she directed Men Don't Cry. So again, maybe they've picked
They're
very
getting people with
specific
pedigree,
people.
aren't they?
Yeah.
But like people with pedigree, but at the same time, not like. I mean, TV directing is very different to film directing. It's very
Yeah.
rare you
Yeah.
get like it is film directors that get the accolades a lot of the time, or the fame to the household name kind of fame.
Well, let's add this to it then. So the next 2 episodes, so us meeting David and the finale are directed by Ali Abbasi. And his last film was Holy Spider. So now I've just clicked on Holy Spider. I remember Mark Kermode reviewing it, but I've just clicked on it now and it says it's a Persian language crime thriller based on the true story of a serial killer who targeted street prostitutes and killed 16 women in
Oh
2000.
my god, I've seen the advert for that film. It looks incredible.
Right. So I am assuming, again, with what we know about David, they've specifically, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, he's Iranian David.
Yes,
Oh
yeah.
my god, he really is.
So yeah.
I mean the character in Holy Spiders, not Ali Abbasi.
Yeah, no, not Ali Abbasi.
Ali Abbasi is a very gifted filmmaker, from
Yes,
what I
yes,
can gather.
it sounds it to be honest. I was just having a look. Yes, so let's get to the episode again. So some of the things that people have said about the episode, and we'll get to the end in a minute. Were they applauded the use of the mall as a quintessential coming of age setting, which I think is very apt and very sort of Total Films Bradley Russell found that the resolve of the previous episode's hangover abrupt and the ending of the episode rushed in comparison to previous scenes. And Kotaku's Kenneth Shepard felt the replacement of the turning, which was the game in the game, with Mortal Kombat 2 was corporate led and failed to recreate one of the game's strongest scenes. Now, they're saying it's corporate led because Mortal Kombat is a Warner Brothers property. So then at that point, they're allowed to use it because of HBO, so all that kind of stuff. Now, in the game, it is a very good scene because Ellie the arcade doesn't work in the game in the Left Behind DLC.
So they have to imagine it almost.
She has to imagine it. So she closes her eyes and it comes up on the screen that she's sort of imagining playing it, and she's moving the joystick and she's hitting the buttons and all that kind of stuff. So she doesn't actually get to play any of the games. Whereas I think, to be honest, I quite prefer this. I think I prefer the fact that she is able to just go in and do it. It shows the sort of the naivety, but then at the same time, I think it shows what she's missed. And we can
this is what she should have been able to experience at any given point.
We take it for granted.
I will say though, especially in a culture like America, it's very weird that a random mall has Mortal Kombat in the arcade.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of thing where very angry Karens will have had that ripped out.
My sons are trying to play Mario Kart over here, and you're having fatalities.
I'm seeing some digitized bloke rip a guy's skull out and breathe fire on his spine, and that was when you said the Turk, because obviously I've got no frame of reference to it, but it seems like it's alluding to the genre of the game it's in as well.
Yeah, because they talk about, I can't remember the name of the character, but she talks about this character who eats you up and spits your bones out, which is then obviously influenced by the Marlena character. Yeah. So obviously it's, the sort of, I think they must have used Mortal Kombat as a bit of a thing, and they've eventually been able to go back to it because of Warner Brothers and HBO and all that kind of stuff. The last thing on here, and this is a kind of something to talk to you about the finale of the episode or the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So an infected makes the way into the mall, or an infected already is in the mall and sort of comes out. And this is basically the point where Ellie gets bit. And Riley gets bit.
Yeah.
You know, so
And,
Riley turns and
well,
yeah,
again, in the DLC, does it end at the same point
yeah.
where they just kind of both resolutely say we're going to fight it out, I'm not going to kill ourselves or whatever?
No, I'm sure
Because I was under the
he shoots her.
impression that Riley turned.
I'm sure that. Da-da-da. Right, yeah. So I'm sure Riley turns in the game. I'm sure you're right.
Because like the whole point is that Ellie's been saying as well, like, oh, it's not the first time I've had to kill someone.
Yeah, so it says they briefly consider shooting themselves to prevent the infection taking over, but instead choose to spend the final hours together. Where Riley is assumed to have succumbed to the infection, Ellie discovers that she is immune, triggering the events of The Last of Us. Yeah, so
And
I'm
yeah, which is a
fairly...
bit of a shame that all of that is discovered off screen because you get contextually what has clearly happened is Riley has turned, Ellie hasn't, and has freaked out. Marlene has arrived after the fact, wondering, being like, where the hell is Riley? And they found Riley dead or whatever, or maybe even got there in time, to see Riley attacking Ellie, seen the bite and assumed maybe it was her that had done it. And she then managed to convince Marlene, I was bitten hours ago or whatever, same time as her. And that then leads into the events that we see at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they didn't make the time for that. Maybe Stormy didn't want to get into zombie get-up.
It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. Because that's what I'm assuming they mean by that idea of it being rushed.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite get what they were aiming for with it cutting to Ellie, like looking for something to sew up Joel with, other than that's just what she was doing in the present day.
Maybe the trauma is that she's had to deal with someone close to her dying before,
The only thing I could think was, wouldn't it be funny if Joel needed 15 stitches there? Because Bethany needed 15 stitches when Ellie was done with her. So I didn't know if they were going to do that. But again, like, she starts stitching him up. And there is that really sweet moment, actually, to be fair, where like Joel is holding Ellie's hand and Ellie's like holding his hand back. And that's a really nice moment.
Yeah.
Especially since at the beginning, like Joel like grabs onto Ellie's hand and Ellie's like, ow.
But then the development of these two, like, the relationship and all that kind of stuff. They're having to rely on each other because of the situation that they found themselves in.
I can't wait for the recreation of the end of, like, how they recreate the end of one of the best boss fights in a horror game ever. So the aftermath of because that was one of my favorite moments in the game, of just his face being like, oh my God, I should have been here, and her not caring because he was there then.
Yeah.
Just like, I can imagine those two doing a damn good job of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I said last week that the last week was the For Your Consideration episode. I mean, Bella in the next few, like, yeah.
I mean, it's tricky for me to say because like they have the advantage of the writing already being so strong. Like, and this is writing that has been established to be strong for like 10 years at this point.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm glad you've said that, because the last little negative thing on this Wikipedia page is that Slash Film said the episode suffered the trope of black characters dying only to motivate white characters. It's like, yeah, because they did it for like 9 years ago.
Yeah, and
like, you can't criticize the episode for.
It's one of them as well. It's like, okay, we're sorry. Would you have preferred that we hadn't written Riley as a black character then?
Well,
no, because then you
can you imagine how much everyone would have kicked off?
Yeah,
everyone's kicking off about the BAFTAs being all white winners. Never mind, buddy. Riley winning, Riley being like color changed, if you will.
Yeah, and I imagine some of the similar stuff was said about Sam and Henry, and it's like, like I feel guilty talking about topics like that as a white man.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to kind of tread lightly, but at the same time, that does seem like criticism from a person who just wants to be angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because I know a lot of, I imagine a lot of people of color will have been happy that Naughty Dog thought to incorporate people of color into such prominent roles throughout The Last of Us as an entire franchise. Like, you didn't need to make Marlene a black woman. A lot of video game franchises would have had Marlene as a white man because it's a white man leading the Fireflies.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have. But Riley would have been a boy for a start, and
Definitely.
would have been back in a lot of, if we're going back to we're just motivating this or we're having token characters. They were actually very hush hush about Bill being gay. I say hush. They weren't in your face. They weren't in your face about it. They didn't.
It was very ambiguous. It was
they didn't. There's a version of that where he's not gay, and if you want that to be your headcanon, that's why the best episode of TV ever made annoys you so much, because that's like, no, he's gay, even though we all knew he was gay anyway because we've got a brain.
Yeah. I can imagine someone doing some sort of fan edit of the series and just taking that out and taking
I
out
can as well, or just somehow it's like somehow editing it so that they're just friends.
Yeah, like some sort of we live together but we don't share a bed.
Yeah, I remember seeing a thing actually where it's like old obituaries of some men are hilarious. Where it's like, tragically, he never married. He just lived with his good friend in their one-bedroom house.
For many, many a year.
Yeah. And he never had kids. He only ever had dogs/cats. It's like, okay.
Something was going on there.
Something, I imagine, was it Clark Gable who definitely was gay and everyone just kind of like tiptoed around it?
Yeah.
But I think because it's like, he married a woman, but there was a man who lived in the house with them, and yeah.
Oh dear.
It is a very diverse cast.
Yeah.
And they've already made that policy change in making Joel's daughter a person of color as well.
But then it was the other one I was thinking, Maria in the game isn't a person of color.
Yeah, just a random pasty white woman who says very little.
She just say very little. Yeah.
And then in this, she's actually a fully realized character, which is great.
Yes.
And then there'll be someone criticizing, she was just there for the white man to feel better about himself and put a baby. It's like, no, okay, fine. No. Still finding reasons to be angry.
She's there to provide a menstrual cup, is what she's there.
That was an awesome moment. Like I said last time, that is something that does not get really discussed in any kind of apocalyptic setting. The fact that women are probably having to...
Your bodies haven't stopped just because the world stopped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm praying to God that the next episode somehow opens up with that shot of the rabbit. You know the one from the game, don't you?
Yeah. I'm trying to.
Gorgeous little computer-generated bunny rabbit walking across the snow.
I think it does. I don't want to say that though.
Yeah. Because one of my favorite ever, try not to laugh moments was this streamer playing the game. This very, I don't know her name, but typical gamer girl look, and she's obviously quite emotional because I think. In the game, this immediately precedes Ellie, like Joel, come on. So it is quite an emotionally charged moment. So she's already quite emotional. And this rabbit just walks on screen and she's there that is the cutest effing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And then perfectly timed. I'll have to find the video to send you. It's so funny. It is so funny.
Good. So next week is penultimate episode time.
It's my boy.
Here comes David.
I'm gonna be prepared, people. Some inspiration off him for the judge, aren't I? Because I'm going to imagine.
By the way, people, just to give you context, he's playing Judge Turpin in Sweeney Todd. It's not You
Yes.
know, he's not going to court and he needs
No, no, no,
the
no, no, no.
lines off a fiddler.
Yeah. I tell you what, as well, people, if it's a wrong version of Sweeney Todd, like he's got a song in it which you won't have heard if you've only seen the film. I think I've made Adam listen to it,
I did indeed. Very
and
Hellfire-ish.
is it the most horrifying song you've ever listened to
Yeah, it's not good.
in terms of context? It's
It's not
good.
good.
It's a fantastic
No,
song, but
it's a good song, but it's oof.
it's grim.
Yeah,
It's grim.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Deliver me.
um. Yeah, so we're gonna. I mean, I'm already predicting next week the amount of times that Amy's gonna say "men are pigs," because that's what she does when we watch something and a man has been a pig, you know. And she's like, "Men are pigs, men are pigs. This man's awful." Yeah, that's gonna happen. And then we get a final episode, which is the shortest of the lot. Intriguing. Oh, I mean, yeah, it is. You know, and Mando's back this week. Mando. I watched Pedro Pascal on Graham Norton. He was on Graham Norton on Friday.
God, he's so hot right now, isn't he?
So I went back and watched it, and he talks a little bit about Last of Us. He's sort of regurgitating this story about how he was in London when they told him that he got the job, and because he had to wake up early the next morning, they took an Ambien, and then didn't know whether or not he'd actually got the job, and then woke up the next morning going, "I really hope I got that job." Yeah. But yeah, he was mainly talking more about Mando, but again, they couldn't really say anything about it.
Yeah,
so.
I do keep feeling very guilty for initially doubting him because I do remember hearing Pedro Pascal as Joel and being like, oh, okay.
Well, apparently, one of the things that I think he said was that he wasn't sure whether or not he was going to get it because of his inability to grow a full beard.
His beard's magnificent.
Which is bizarre, but
Also,
I read some
it's
medical
Hollywood.
people. Yeah, I mean,
It's Hollywood. They could just slap something on his face. And
patch it up.
also, have you you've not watched Game of Thrones, have you?
No.
Have you seen his beard in that? Look up Oberyn Martell. That is Pete. Like everyone's getting thirsty over Pedro right now. Look at him in Game of Thrones.
Oberyn Martell. Look at him.
Oberyn Martell. Oh.
Wow. I mean, that's thicker, isn't it? That's darker. Definitely. Oh, right. Because I read some bizarre people that were apparently up for the role of Joel, and I can't remember where I read it. But it was like, I'm sure like Joel Edgerton was in there, Tom Hardy was in there at one point. I'm sure one of them.
You get what they're going for there, though, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm sure one of them said Harrison Ford.
Oh,
and I was like,
old.
"Are you sure about that?"
Way too old.
Can you imagine a? Hang on, let's have
a look. Like a near 80-year-old Joel.
Yeah, who was considered for Joel? I mean, the first one is who was considered to play Elvis. Oh, see, actually,
Maisie Williams will have been the favourite for.
Yeah, so that's the one that's come up. So when they were going to do it the first time round, I don't think it was Maisie at the time, but Caitlin Dever, who's in Booksmart and stuff like that, she was up for it. Thomasin McKenzie is another one who apparently was up for it. Daphne Keane.
Yeah, is that she's in Last Night in Soho, isn't she? Thomasin McKenzie.
Yes, yeah. Daphne Keane being one as well, who was in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Daphne Keane. Thomasin McKenzie's a weird choice. She's very quiet and mousy. Sounds horrible, but she's got she's got that very quiet energy about her in any performance I've seen her in. Like even in JoJo, where she's allowed to be a bit angrier.
Yeah.
Daphne Keane would have made a lot of sense, actually. She'd have been great.
So let's have a look. Now, I mean, there's some that, again, we need to take with a pinch of salt because, you know, these people, they just throw things out there. Apparently Mahershala Ali passed on it. What?
That would have been interesting, actually.
Actually, right, hang on. I think I've just read that a bit wrong. No, you did.
Mahershala Ali as Joel, like, obviously you're changing the race of the character, but I could see that.
Matthew McConaughey was offered.
Of course he was, because he's got the drawl. It's like, who do we know who's from Texas? Matthew, Come here, you old scamp. You've got an Oscar-nominated performance in you again, don't you?
Jensen Ackles tried to push for it.
Oh, he's got the look.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
here we
got
go.
the
This
look.
right.
I
This is the
love
list.
Jensen, not as much as you. I do love Jensen.
Yeah.
I don't think he's Joel.
Right. This is the list that I read. Right. Here you go. So, before Pascal took the reins, actors considered for the part were Hugh Jackman, Michael
Obviously.
Fassbender,
Yeah.
John Bernthal,
Yeah. Okay. Nah. Actually, not John Bernthal.
Gerard Butler,
No.
Josh Brolin,
Nah. He's too gruff. He's too gruff.
John Hamm.
I really want to see John Hamm take on something a bit meatier at some point because when you see him in like how good is he in Baby Driver?
Oh yeah,
He's so good in Baby Driver. Yeah. I've genuinely because Georgia mentioned this once. I was like, I can't get it out of my head. I think it'd actually be like a weirdly good rogue shout. I could imagine him as a Batman.
Yeah,
he'd be really good at like the goofy. He'd be really good at like the goofy Playboy side.
Yeah.
But I could imagine him bringing it like I think he'd perform it quite Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
He would perform it quite Kevin Conroy, and that'd be really like he'd be very over the top flamboyant as Bruce Wayne, and then he'd just be his normal self as Batman. And he wouldn't feel the need to put on a silly voice and stuff like that. Like he would just naturally use his register.
Yeah.
Because when he's done more dramatic stuff, he's been great.
Yeah. We'll do the three that are sort of more on the not on the nose, but you know you can imagine them more, and then the three that are just ridiculous. So I already mentioned Tom Hardy and Joe Edgerton.
Yeah,
Edgerton I think more than Hardy there. And then
I don't think he's a good enough actor though. Edgerton, I love him, but
I like him in some stuff. There's some stuff that I can kind of give and take him in. He directed a film called The Gift, and nobody's seen The Gift, and The Gift is a really good film. It's got Jason Bateman in it as well. David Harbour, you know, your Hopper from
that's just off Stranger Things.
That's just off Stranger Things. Right, here you go. I have these. Right, so I mentioned Harrison Ford before. Yeah,
Jesus.
Right, Chris Hemsworth.
No,
not happening.
Why? No Joel's not that beautiful. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Keanu Reeves.
Ellie, you are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I tell you what, when we went and watched Ant-Man, the John Wick 4 trailer played before it, and Amy's going, "Why do people think he can act? Why do people think he can act?"
Tell you what, you give him the right role. Keanu Reeves ain't bad.
The thing is, like, he's not bad, but John Wick is just emotional. But like, she's watching it and going, he's just turned to someone and gone, "Give me a gun," and it's like, yeah, that's John Wick. That's what happens.
Yeah, that is John Wick. I need to see 3 and 4 actually, because 1 and 2 were fantastic. I really enjoyed.
3 is really good. I really enjoyed 3. 3 is beautifully shot. Yeah, and the score of it is really good as well. Yeah, I recommend you watch 3, and then 4's out in April, I want to say.
We're just going to keep making this until Keanu dies, aren't we?
Oh, probably, yeah. I'm all in for John Wick 16, where he's about 80 years old, you know.
Where he passes the baton on to a young, whoever the kid is who plays Bran in Game of Thrones.
Not a clue.
Why not?
And then the Fast and Furious 10 trailer just made me think that this series is now the Expendables because everyone's just popping up. Like, yeah. Right. Do you wanna say anything about The Last of Us before we go? Again,
go on.
We'll just do another redundant episode next week.
Probably another. I say that I really enjoy talking about it. It's just there's only so many times we can say the actors are all fantastic. The script is great. The shots are beautiful and haunting. The music is perfect. Like every single episode is just doing exactly what it needs to do. I can see people not that acquainted with the game being a bit bored by it.
Yeah.
On the whole, I think it is a bit of a slow burner, but the game's a slow burner. So I think most people love the game, but that's when you're playing it. So maybe that's something that gets lost a bit when you're just watching it.
I'm finding it really weird I think this might be the first time that I've kind of been what I feel like on the other side of a phenomenon, in that like all of these things happen and it becomes a massive thing and everyone loves it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sat here thinking like, oh, I played the game. Like no one was bothered when it was a game, you know. Like and
You
everyone's
say
like,
that people were very bothered when it was a
no,
game.
I know,
It
but
was being lauded as one of the best made games of all time.
it's just because I just felt like for whatever reason, I just thought that everyone who's gonna watch it are the people who've played the game and know the game, right?
Yeah.
But then I was sat in staff briefing the other day, and one of the other teachers was talking about it. Like my mum's watching it.
Mm.
You know, like I've had some of the students sort of say like there's one girl in particular in my film class who's like, "Oh, so have you watched The Last of Us yet?" And I'm like, "Well, you're clearly not watching the podcast feed, are you?" You know, yeah.
Wait, is this one of the students who'd recognize me or
She's in year 10, so yeah, she should do.
just about? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like your old favorite.
That guy, you remember
That
that
guy.
guy? Yeah,
That guy.
that guy. Right. Well, oh, I've opened my door. Oh shit.
Mind you, based on, I think I sent you the trailer for it, but this is going to be beaten to being the best video game adaptation ever because Tetris is getting a film.
I've right. I saw your text, and I've still not watched that trailer. So I
Oh
need to
my
watch that
god,
trailer.
it looks
Right. Yeah.
absolutely insane.
I will do. I will
Genuinely, it
do.
looks good.
Yeah. Right. I'll watch it. I will watch the
Watch
trailer.
that, and I'll send you that video of the streamer reacting to the
Yeah.
bunny because it's
Because
the
Taron
funny.
Egerton's in it, and I quite like Taron Egerton.
I
So
love Taron Egerton. I
yeah.
need him to have a bigger career than he currently has.
You know what? I said this. Me and Amy went to go and watch Hugh Jackman in concert when he did all his songs and he did all that kind of stuff. And he did Greatest Showman and he did Les Mis and, you know, Arthur's Theme and all the stuff that he'd done in his career. And I said to Amy, I said, I would go and watch Taron Egerton just sing Elton John songs
Mm.
because there are a lot of them where I actually prefer the Taron Egerton version.
Mm.
So, you know.
It's the only good thing about Sing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because Ruby's into sing at the minute. Yeah. Right. So, follow me on Twitter at Adam Farrand. Follow him on Twitter at OJ Ball if you want some trolling. Yeah, and then you do what you do. Off-world tees. Use the code Farrand, 15% off. FARRAND.
Yeah, buy the t-shirts because we need to buy Adam, or at least be able to rent him a studio because that closet can't contain magnificence of.
It can't contain me.
It can't contain the Farrand on film vibe.
I mean, it is doing, but you know. Actually, yeah. So hopefully next time I will have a boom mic, and I might have even found something to sort of like right in front of me is a wall. That's just a solid wall there. So if I can get something that holds my phone there, we might be onto a winner again. I might not look this dark. Yeah, just something, anything. Right, 2 more left, people. We're nearly there.
We're gonna do it. We got this.
We'll talk a bit about Mando as well next week.
Mando.
Right. I can hear Ruby there, so I'm assuming the soundproofing. I don't know. Stay safe, look after each other, and we'll see you next time.
Don't drink and drive.
Well, no, don't. Bye.
Bye.